You should know what it is. You should know what it is. Okay, Isaiah Rashad. Let's talk about it. What do I say about this? Let me first, say right off the bat that I have absolutely no problem with what someone's sexuality is. I am not the meat police. I could care less, honestly, what you do with somebody as long as it's consensual. That's it. That's all that matters. So I am a straight male. I'm a cis male. I think that's what they call it. But I honestly have never really had an issue with people's sexuality. It's just not a thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in freedom, and I believe in the freedom to be who you want to be. Okay? I also believe in the freedom of, like, not necessarily telling the public who what you do. Like, it's not really anybody's business, right? Whatever you do sexually is really not anybody's business. I don't have to know. Right. Now, with all that said, Isaiah Rashad is going to look funny in the light. And it's not because of the fact that he actually, maybe seems to be bisexual or gay or whatever. That's not really why he's going to look funny in the light. I think he's going to look funny in the light because he presents his image, or his image is crafted as one thing when in fact it's something else entirely. Right? So he's been out here as a typical sort of rapper. He's got the girls in his videos, right? Very typical rapper shit. He's being promoted also as being this sort of earth, semi-conscious, from that TDE school of real rap, right? Isaiah Rashad, I've told you about this before, right? First name, last name, R&B ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? It's that sort of ploy to, to show that I'm not just a symbol or a catchy name. I am a person, with real thoughts and real. But again, if you are actually something else entirely in terms of how you portray your sexuality, and you're not honest about that, which is a pretty big part of somebody, I would argue, right? Your sexuality is part of who makes you who you are, right? And again, none of it is bad. It's just, if you're presenting yourself as being this real artist, it's a little weird when you don't bring it up, right? Look at Frank Ocean, for example. When Frank Ocean revealed that he was, I guess, bisexual or whatever, I don't think anybody, well, I'm sure he got some hate, without a doubt. Society is homophobic. But as someone who listens to Frank Ocean, it never felt weird to me. I just was like, oh, okay, that's cool. He didn't necessarily need to tell me, but at the same time, it's kind of in the music in a way. Like, the Forrest Gump, I think he kind of had some lines alluding to it, and he was just being honest about it. It wasn't a ploy. And I think, again, that's why Frank Ocean will have respect. Whereas someone like Isaiah Rashad, if the rumors are in fact true, again, this is all alleged, but if in fact rumors are true that he, may have been messing around with different people and sort of not being honest with his baby moms and all this kind of stuff, that's going to make him look like a fraud, and a dangerous fraud in a way. And that's the problem. And that's why I think Isaiah is going to have to sort of eat this in a way and try to figure this out. It does make me think, though, to this, rap shit about how, the new generation, it's funny. They kind of try to say, oh, things are so much more honest in our era. Your era was full of fun. But like I've said before, I don't think this generation is any better than the one before. In fact, I think this generation is faker than the one before in my era. And I'll tell you why. The reason why I think that they're fakers is because I think to a certain extent they're afraid of being themselves. This hip-hop that they're into now is not really their identity. They didn't really grow up in it, and it's not like they didn't take it to another level. It's not like, for example, the rappers that I used to listen to in the 90s who weren't angels and had their issues, but you could tell that they were taking something and they were really artistically taking it to another level. Really, honestly, they were artistically taking it to another level. These new guys aren't. They're just there because they think it's like a check. It's like something that they can use to get some money. And look, listen, some clout, of course. I get it, but at the same time, you're going to have frauds when stuff like that happens. Of course you're going to, right? It's just the nature of the game. Why am I playing this instrumental? Anyway, the point of the matter is this, right? Rashad has to figure out what exactly he wants to put out there, okay? Because at the end of the day, right? And I want to break it down real simple. at the end of the day, rap is not really forgiving the people that are obvious frauds. You can be a kind of a fraud, you know, you can be but it can't be so obvious. It can't be a caught on tape obvious. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's interesting about this whole thing is that this is like the first time we've actually seen something like this, because obviously hip hop for a long time has been discussing, you know, the myth of the gay rapper or whatever. So it's kind of interesting actually that I guess in 2022 this has actually happened in this fashion and in such a bold and strange way, right? In a way where obviously he didn't choose for that to happen. And like I said, I sympathize with him in that regard. I don't think it's right to just out somebody. But with that said, again, if some of the rumors, because I've read it on the internet, that who knows what led up to that, okay, is all I'll say on that. But in general, of course, it's not fair. And the point is that hip hop has been talking about this for a long time. And I do think that hip hop gets a bad rap for being quote unquote homophobic, right? Let me play you a record that I love. All right? And I agree to a certain degree and I disagree on another extent. I love this record, man. This song is fire. It's offensive. I mean, the chorus is offensive. But this is one of the Styles P's best songs. This beat is nuts. Crazy. All the weed smoke busting my lungs.
With the $8 bottle on the
Just my girl.
You would think I was born in the pot.
The way the pot boil.
Put your brain in
the thug soil. This sick of me. What up?
So if you have to get your groceries,
Must get your these.
yeah,
Yeah, thug.
I like the flavor and high, the weed.
Anyway, you can listen to that on your own time. But brilliant song, one of the best songs I think Styles ever put out. Unfortunate chorus, in my opinion. Unfortunate title. When Styles was doing it, I don't think that Styles was actually sitting there being like, "Let me make a homophobic record." Now, the song itself is homophobic, right? The end result of it is homophobic because you're using a homophobic term in as the chorus, right? But it's not. Again, in hip hop, unfortunately, when we were using the F word, we weren't. It never, sort of seemed to me that it was done deliberately to make the listener be like, "Oh, gay people are bad." It wasn't like that. It was more of like, you're using that term to denote someone who's soft, which is homophobic, because again, the root of it is a homophobic word. So what I'm trying to say is that it's indirectly homophobic in a way, as opposed to directly trying to put down, someone who's gay, if that makes sense. It's still homophobic, but I think it's a homophobic more out of ignorance as opposed to a direct hate, if that makes sense. Not to say that rap hasn't had songs where there's direct hate, right? I'm not saying that either. And homophobia, at the end of the day, the results are kind of the same, whether it's indirect or direct. The outcome is still a bad outcome. Trust me, I know about this. It's like I've said this even with racism, sexism, whether you're indirectly homophobic or directly homophobic, the outcome is still homophobic and it's still a problem. We still have to deal with it, right? So what I'm trying to say is this. I do think that at the end of the day, hip hop has, like all things, has their issues to deal with. I do think that necessarily it's not hip hop's fault, because society in general is homophobic, and I think those kind of things trickle into rap, right? Christianity is homophobic. I mean, let's be honest with you, right? A lot of religions are homophobic. So these are things that are bigger than rap, right? That have trickled into rap, obviously, because rap is just an expression of people's thoughts and, what they feel and all that kind of stuff. So of course, yes, that's going to be in the music, but that doesn't mean that the music itself is like inherently gay, gay hating. I don't know. I don't believe that, right? And the point is that as black males, and again, I'm speaking generally, of course, we live in a society where our sexuality is constantly under microscope and constantly being questioned, just like with black women as well. And it can get really weird, and so, we kind of hold on to our sense of manhood and things like that. And that's why, to a certain degree, we feel disenfranchised, and so we get into this sort of patriarchal feeling where we're not allowed to express that we may in fact be not cis male, right? And we're afraid of expressing that, of course, because of backlash and all the hate that can come with that. what I am trying to say is that I hope that changes for sure, because I do think that it's important for people to be honest with who they are and how they feel. And obviously, we need to create a society where we can let people feel free to be who they are, right? Because I mean, it's really our fault as a society at large if they don't feel that way. You know what I mean? So I would have loved to see, man, if Isaiah Rashad, as you know, I never liked his music. I always thought his music was lazy. But if Isaiah Rashad had come out the gate, you know, on some like, look, listen, like, not as a statement or whatever, but if he had just made a song or even made, you know, this is what I'm talking about with rap. You can't pretend to be real but not really be real. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit's offensive to me. Like, if he had just sort of come out and just said it or put it somewhere, it would have been dope. But he didn't do that, so it is what it is, man. It's a shame.